Hey guys, welcome to now is officially 2018. We got some great new episodes for you. I hear a toilet flush. I think we should go find out what's going on.
Welcome aboard, everybody. I was sorry I was in the Call of Duty special plops, but we're here now in another episode of It's About Time. Give it to our cameraman, Dave.
Oh boy. Well, that's one way to ring in the new year. Now, there's another way to ring in the new year.
We flushed that old year right off the chart. So,
let's jump, literally,
nice
into
segue.
the next topic.
Absolutely.
So guys, good news. We have a whole host of new episodes coming up for this year. Like, you guys are in for a treat. You guys thought last year was good? This year's even better. Don't forget to like, subscribe, email, whatever it is. You guys are going to be the first ones to get the new content, and I promise you, you're going to want it. So, let's see. Time for our segment, What's on the Wrist.
Absolutely. Jared, why don't you lead it off now? Because mine leads into the episode, so you have to go first.
Kind of, I guess. All right. So anyways, it's my Mito Commander.
You want to give him a little more detail than that?
No? You want to know about it? Go look it up. Okay. We're going to be getting into a lot of things this year about how things work.
A little hangover from last night. Okay, today I have what's on my wrist is a Gerald Genta. And this is going to lead us into today's topic. And you're wondering, what type of watch is this? Well, this is what is called a jump hour. For those
jump
of you,
hour? What is a jump hour?
What could be a jump hour? A jump hour is any type of watch that uses a constant change of hour caused by the movement of the watch. So, in this case, this jump hour is a Gerald Genta.
Can you repeat that for a second?
No, I don't want to. This is a retrograde jump hour. When this retrograde for the minutes go to the 60, this hand slingshots back and brings in a new hour. Hence why it's called a jump hour. This is a dual retrograde watch, so you have both the date and the minutes doing a retrograde. This every hour and this every month. But it brings in a new hour, which the hour jumps right here. This is not the date. This is what people get confused with jump hours all the time. They think that is the date. It is not. It is the hour. So any watch that has the top main dial of the watch, which is a change of hour every hour, is called a jump hour. There are two different types of jump hours you could possibly get. This is one kind, and as we know, as Jared knows, a couple different brands make this type of jump hour. Not necessarily with the date. Some do, some don't. Gerald Genta is one of them. Another one is Epos, that makes a jump hour. And there was another type as well that made the jump hour.
I remember Oris did it, but they don't have it with the
Oris
date.
does the jump hour as well. They don't have the date. And there's a German brand that does it as well, that does a jump hour as well this way. The most common type of jump hour is not this type at all that you would see. It actually was these types of watches, which were invented in around the 1970s. Okay, these were really popular in the 1970s. This type of jump hour, and I will show Dave, as you pull out the stem.
I don't think they can see it on the...
Oh, no, he's got it. You can
Dave,
see...
Can you see clearly?
As I'm turning the minutes, the hours are jumping, okay? And basically, this is a hand wind. So I would push the stem in, I would wind it up, and you can see the actual seconds, which is signified right here by the far right wheel, start to move, and that would turn this wheel, and this wheel would turn this wheel. So this is a typical jump hour. These were also called in the 1970s dollar watches. Not very expensive. You can buy them for $1. And it was the digital watch before digital watches came out. That's really what jump hours turned into. So there were two types of jump hours. There was the dressy type, and there was the everyday dollar watch type.
Did they have the dressy types back when this was around?
These jump hours were actually invented. I looked at the history of the jump hours, and they were actually invented in the 1890s. So they had these in clocks, believe it or not, back in the 1890s. They didn't really incorporate this type.
Well, let me ask you a question. When this was around, who do you think was the brand that created the dress jump hour? during that time?
There was a variety of brands that did this. It wasn't just one, and they were a mix of Swiss and Japanese. Because a lot of these, the reason why they call them dollar watches, and you'll see a lot of this, and you'll see this, take a look over here. If you look on the bottom part, bottom right of that, you'll see digital Swiss. What really happened is they used...
So that's considered a digital watch?
Yeah, see, it's a digital Swiss watch.
And it's a hand wind?
It's a hand wind, but it really wasn't made in Switzerland. A lot of these watches that had Swiss parts made in Japan.
So how is it a hand wind and it's a digital watch?
Well, this was digital before digital came out. This was their version of digital before. Remember, the digital watches that you see today from Casio and all the other brands came out in the early 80s.
Does this one require a battery?
No, it's a hand wind.
But they still call it digital.
Yes, because
That's interesting.
Because it's digital numbers. If you're anything that is not, there's two types of things, guys, when you're looking at watches. There's digital and there's analog. Anything that is told with any type of, how do you want to put it? Any type of hand is called an analog. Anything that is told with a number is called a digital. So that is your way to distinguish between analog and digital.
So in other words, your jump hour watch is partially digital.
This is half analog, half digital. That is correct. This is a retrograde.
No, I thought digital had to do with like the LED circuit board in the watch that shows the time, like with the Arabic numerals and things like that. That's what I thought digital was.
That's what digital means in today's age. In the 1970s, this was digital. Anything that you could read with numbers that wasn't told by a hand moving, as this would be called, this is analog. This hand points to a number, that's analog.
So that shows you
anything
part of the
that's told by
evolution.
anything that's told by a number is digital. So these were digital Swisses before the Casios and all those big digital brands came around. Before electronics came around, this was the way they told time digitally. And this was actually, like I said, this type of thing was actually invented all the way back in the 1890s and was progressed through time, through clocks, and they screwed around with it. Because if you think about it, it really makes sense. They've been telling time for a lot of years through the date for wheels like that. So why not incorporate, instead of a date, incorporate that as the hour wheel? It's just a different way to tell time. So they've been screwing around with this for years. The Swiss were trying to do this, and they finally came into popularity in the 1970s. The other ones more came into popularity. They also tried a different version of this. I've seen a half digital, half analog, to Jared's point, with this. This is now more of a dress type of piece. Back in the 60s and 70s, they did have ones that only cost a couple $100, and again, it was half analog, half digital. So the digital jump hours back then, you can find them. They're on eBay, and they're not that much. They don't work that well. Again, they're wind-ups.
I'm taking that this is one of your favorite complications.
It is, because it's a lot easier, and Jared and I were discussing the other day, it's actually a lot easier to tell time on a jump hour than it is on a regular watch.
You know what? I'm going to actually, in the spur of the moment, I'm going to rephrase my statement a little bit. When you have, it depends on what kind of watch that you have. Like, on something like this, it's very hard to tell the time. It is, at first glance. Like, on the Genta, it's a little bit small, but I think on the Epos that you found, pretty easy to tell the time. It's just, you know,
Is it easier or hard to tell the time on this?
I think it's like, because it's more micro, it's smaller, it's like the Genta. You know what I mean? Like, if you look down at first glance, you have to, like, take a look. Okay, so you see it's 7, then you go over here, and then you have to go to that. You know, it's a little harder to see. It says, what, like 707 or something like that?
707, 708.
Yeah, like, it takes a second. But, like, if I look down at my watch, I can tell easily, 143. Like, I don't even have to think about it. It's just, it depends on, you know,
depends how you're used to telling time, too. If you're used to telling it analog, it's very easy for you to pick up analog. But nobody ever says, I can't read a number. Okay, they can't just say, oh, what time is it? 1. They go right to the 1 real quickly, and then you go to the analog, and you find out it's 1:41. So, I mean, it's not that hard to do. What is tough in jump hours, and which Epos found out, and they kind of mastered as well, but Oris couldn't get to this yet, is the fact that to put a date in, you have to actually put a date in the right way for the watch to make sense so it's not confusing. If you have, and Epos puts a date over here down the bottom, and they have the jump hour on top.
That's where we differ.
That's where we differ.
That's where we differ.
I
think
find
it's
that,
easy. He doesn't.
I could find that a little confusing. What Genta did was the smart way to do it was if you're going to have your traditional jump hour, it's got to be up on top. It's not in the bottom. Some watches have them on the bottom, which I totally disagree with. It has to be up on top, and you have to have the retrograde on the bottom because the retrograde differentiates the date from the actual.
My little food for thought is I would say 90% of people can't even read the date on that really because it's very small.
Well, you're just arguing about the size, not the function.
Yeah.
If this was a 40, you'd love it.
It depends on how the retrograde would be.
The retrograde would be bigger. It's a 40. This is a 35.
Do you remember my Seiko that I had in?
Yes.
That was a 40. Look what happened.
Well, you're
micro.
As long as you're looking at if the retrograde was bigger and this was a 40, you'd love it. Based on it makes sense the way they tell time on the watch.
It's just very. Drew knows that this is probably one of my least favorite watches in his collection.
This is one of my most eclectic watches in my
So
collection.
I have a question for you. So by the way, just to segue into the next kind of topic, one of the things that we're going to be doing this year is called the performance report, and that's where each week, mainly for Drew, not as much for me, although Actually, I will tell you this. You guys will see this watch on my wrist all year long for every single episode. It's true. So the new segment we're going to do this year, besides all of our other episodes, is called the Performance Report. There's a lot of watch reviews. Drew and I have been talking, by the way, for the last week or two about new episodes for the upcoming new year. And now that we're officially there, one of the things we see online is we see all these reviews and saying, oh, they're talking about the bracelet and the case. Listen, anyone can talk about that stuff. We're going to take things up in a few notches. Since Drew has a larger collection, I'll report on the performance of this over the year, whatever it is. So the performance report is going to be where we are going to subject the watches to different temperatures, different environments, different everything. And we're going to say each now, do you know what watch you're going to wear this week?
I do. I'm going to be wearing my Oris regulator.
The Oris regulator.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to report during the next episode how that one performed.
Yes. We're going to tell you what it can take, what it can't take, things you can do with it, things you can't do with it. Stuff like that, stuff that you like Jared said.
It's just going to be an ongoing, it's not like a particular episode, it's just going to be an ongoing thing. Every week, performance report. It's like what's on the wrist, performance report, going to the topic kind of thing.
Right. So it's going to be a little bit different than just showing you what's on our wrist. We're going to give you a little...
But aren't you excited about the new stuff we have for this year?
Oh, we got a lot of new stuff, guys. We got a lot of new places we're visiting. We're going up to Canada. We're going to Niagara Falls. We're still going to go down the beach, down to the Jersey Shore. We're going to go a bunch of different places this year. And we're still doing Atlantic City as well. We'll break into somebody else's spa.
There's the Call of Duty.
Do the Call of Duty special calls.
Call of Duty.
And but basically, yes. I mean, so if anybody is interested in jump hours, definitely shoot us an email, drop us a text. I'll tell you more about them, where to get them.
Drew is like the...
I'm pretty knowledgeable about this topic. A lot of people like jump hours, especially the affordable ones. Gerald Genta, by the way, give you a little history on Gerald Genta. He was the watchmaker for Patek Philippe, and then he created his own brand. That lasted for about 15 years.
Wait, trivia! What's his most iconic watch?
Tell him.
No, you tell me. I'm asking you the trivia.
What's his most iconic watch?
Uh-huh.
Got me there. If it was for Patek Philippe, I'm not an expert on it.
Nautilus.
That's correct. You did hear that in the Patek Philippe episode. I'm not an expert on Patek Philippe, but I know he did create his own brand for about 10, 15 years, and then they got bought out by Bulgari. So he then created another brand, but died shortly.
All right, enough. All of our viewers are getting bored, so listen. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, like, subscribe, email this guy everything about jump hours. Don't forget to get your microscope for the, just to see
boy, you hate this watch.
We'll see you guys in the next episode of It's About Time.